everybody, and welcome back to Danstew Station for update number 7. A very happy new year to all, a happy 2019. I hope this year brings you everything that you would like it to. Speaking of hope, I was hoping to get this video out before New Year's, after New Year's, sort of like around that time. But with Christmas, New Year, getting the kids back to school again, and I've had a few job interviews recently, so all of that's kind of taken priority over Danstew Station. However, I have been doing some work to it. I did start filming and doing some work in December of last year, which is what you'll see at the beginning. And then recently I've been doing some more work to it and adding to what I started last year. So what I'm just going to do is put them both together so you'll see all of the progress over the next 10-15 minutes, however long this video ends up being. But yeah, so I do hope you enjoy that. For this year I'm hoping to get more done. And I'm hoping to bring you more videos and to concentrate a lot more on the railway than I was last year. On the grounds of that, I'm doing a great deal better. I'm a lot happier, I'm a lot more healthy, a lot more relaxed, and just feeling a lot better. I've left that job that I was in and I'm now looking for something else. So yeah, my aim is basically to devote more time to myself and my family than to my job. So with that being said, I should be able to bring you a lot more videos, and that's my aim. So yeah, so hopefully this is the year where we get quite a lot done to the layouts and I can bring you along for the ride. So hope you all enjoy it. But without any further ado, I'll take you back to December of 2019 so you can see the progress from there to where it is now. So hope you enjoy. Take care everyone, and see you soon. Okay, so what I'm going to be working on today is the low relief scene that I showed you all in the last update. So I'm going to get it all off the back wall and get it all sanded down, and hopefully we'll get it painted as well. And I'm also hoping to get the back scene in there too, just kind of like a bit of board, so I can get something in the background. Yeah, so we're going to try and get it all sorted so it looks more like a town than it does a snow scene. So let's get it off the board and onto the floor, and we'll get some work on it. Okay, and here we have the piece on the floor ready to be sanded. I did kind of mention in my last video that I had it attached to the wall. What I've actually got is it's braced to the wall, and then this just sits on top of those braces, so then I can easily get it down onto the floor to work on it like this. So yeah, that was just something I noticed. I did also kind of mention in my last video that I use the matchstick method, but I didn't really go into much detail with that. I thought I talked about it in a previous video, but turns out I didn't. It's a technique that actually has been used by quite a few people. I actually saw this from Everard Junction, and I really liked it. And all it basically is you mark out where you want all the buildings to go. So I kind of drew lines that this is where the pavements would be in the road and things like that. Measured it all out in relation to the shops and the buildings and stuff. And then what you do is you glue matchsticks down. I don't know if you can see because of the polyfilla, but there we go. You can just see in there, if I just focus in, yeah, we go. There's some matchsticks in there. So yeah, you just glue some matchsticks in, PVA, wood glue, whichever one you prefer. And I did kind of like the entire square, so around the back as well. And then you just fill it with polyfilla. Smooth it off as best you can. And yeah, that gives you a nice little curb at the side. Now, what a lot of people do, what Everard did, and what a lot of other people who have seen use this technique do, is after they're finished, they then take the matchsticks up. I'm not going to do that. What I want to do is keep the matchsticks there, and hopefully, if what I'm hoping will happen is it will then represent curbs. So kind of like the curb side, and that's kind of what I'm aiming for. So I'm hopeful on that. What I've also done on this section, if we just focus in, you can't really see very well, but I carve the matchsticks down over here so that they dip. I don't know if you can see it, but there is kind of like a dip going down there, and then it goes back up here. This is because this will be the entrance to the service station. The other entrance will be off scene, it'll be kind of beyond there, but this is one of them.
So yes, I've kind of like tried to make a dip in the road and in the pavement, as it were, to model that. So that's basically what I've done. So yeah, you just glue the matchsticks down. They make a really good kind of size for a curb, and it just, in all the videos I've watched, it makes a much better looking curbside and roadway. I mean, the roadway as well, this is just a thin layer of polyfilla. This is just to kind of give a more cement look, to get rid of like the wood underneath and any screws and things like that. So yeah, and once it's sanded down, it should hopefully look a lot better. But here's hoping. So yeah, we'll crack on with it. Apologies, this section of the video has been terrible with focus. What I've done is I've put my light on just so you can see things a little bit better, but my phone is really struggling to keep up with that. And I think with the white as well, it's just overexposed, and it's going crazy right now. So I hope you've been able to see everything I've talked about. Apologies again, that's hope that's not been too distracting. But yeah, so we're going to get on with the sanding and see how it looks. Okay, and there we go, giving it a good sand down, and it's looking a lot better. The roads are much smoother now, and the paths themselves as well, especially this path, has come out extremely well. There's a couple of sections where obviously the polyfilla hasn't quite filled everywhere, but I'm just currently filling in those gaps just with my fingers, just so I can get a better feel. It's especially more prominent on this side, as this was the two boards joined together, and this is a little bit lower on this side. So it's got a little bit more of a dip in the road, which I didn't mind. And for that, I just used 2 layers of matchsticks instead of 1. So that worked really well. It was exactly the right level to do that. So, oh, I forgot that's polyfilled. So, but because of that, obviously this is a lot thicker, so it's not quite filled as well as this side. So I'm just filling some gaps at the moment with the polyfilla. You could probably see a little bit better over here the road effect that I'm looking for. So it comes across there, and it's just a nice smooth drop to the road, and then the curb raises up again. So it's a nice kind of dip. If I try and drop this down without getting polyfilla on the phone, and then do that, there you might be able to see kind of like a nice little dip just dropping down. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how that came out. And so as you can see, sanded it down now and given it a quick coat of paint. This is just a grey used from a tester pot from my mother-in-law when she was painting. So she passed this on to me, and it's coming quite nice and useful. It's not going to stay this colour. What I'm going to be doing is painting the roads a bit more of a black tarmac colour, and I'll be giving the pavements a little bit of a grey, but darker than this. I just wanted to put this coat on just to give it a coat really, so that when I do start painting, it's already got a coat underneath, but also so that I could kind of try and film this now, and hopefully you can see it better than when it was all a massive whitewash of a snowfall. So you can kind of see the pavement there, and slightly round there, that's kind of curved down a little bit, but it's definitely more prominent here. And so yeah, as you can see, it's all the polyfilla has been smoothed, but not excessively. There's a lump there, there's still a few bits of crinkles and lumps in everywhere, which is what I wanted. I didn't want it to be absolutely immaculately perfectly smooth, because, well, what pavement or road is, you know, so it gives it a more authentic look. And I mean, over here you can see there's a couple of little potholes there. And that's probably where the buildings are actually going to be. But it's what I could always do later on down the line, is have people working on that as if it's a pothole and they've sent someone out to fix it. So that's all drying now, so just waiting for that to finish so that I can put a few more coats on. I've also picked up these benches. These are from Metcalf, the smaller range, the laser cut range. Really like these, and these are going to go outside of Chip's Bar. They do come with umbrellas, which you cut out and glue together, and then you make poles from a paper clip, really. So yep, so I'll be putting them on there as well. But I thought they'll make a really nice addition, and kind of like a seating area outside. We can have some people sat outside with some drinks and things like that, and just add a little bit more scenery to the pub here. And as we move over to the other side of the layout, you'll see it has been changed. I've ripped up the road, I've ripped up the sand there, and majority of the grass, still a little bit there that didn't quite want to come up. And as I was scraping away, I was starting to reveal the white plaster cloth from the background there. So yeah, I've given it another coat of the brown, so I'm just waiting for that to go off. I'm going to put the path back in along with at the top end here where the caravans are going to go. But there was two reasons for doing this, really. The first one, I kind of mentioned in my previous video that I was never been too keen on this section here. I kind of made it, really liked it, but the more I looked at it, the more I thought I could do better. You know, I wasn't happy with the way the colour of the grass looked. I wasn't happy with the sand pit, just looked too cemented down. I think I used a bit too much glue when securing it down, and in fact I can say I definitely used too much glue, because when trying to get it up, it ripped up half the wood with it. So yeah, I definitely secured that down a little bit too much. So it's just looking a bit too static. Not static, yeah, static, just too stuck down. I just wasn't too keen on it. So I ripped it up with the intention of remaking it. But there is another reason for me doing this, and that is that I'm going to make the play area larger. And the reason I'm making the play area larger is because I've been given one of these, which I absolutely love. Now, I saw this at Spennymoor Model Railway that I've put up on my channel, and I kind of saw this there, and I picked it up, and I was saying to my dad, I absolutely loved it. I just thought it was fantastic. And yeah, and I just thought it was so different to anything else I'd ever seen. A really good price, but for some reason I didn't get it there and then. I kind of thought I'll look around at everything else, as you do, and then I'll come back and get it. And I hadn't gone around the room before turning around, looking back at the stall and realising it had gone, and he had no more. And I was absolutely gutted. And it goes to reason, and it goes to kind of show, you see something you like, get it there and then. You know, just don't wait around for it, just grab it. So I fast forward a couple more weeks to my birthday, back end of November, and my dad had picked this up for me. Not from the railway layout, from the railway exhibition. I thought he had, and I said, "Oh, were you the one who picked it?" He said, "No, I wish I was." He picked this up from, I think it was either Peter's Spares in Middlesbrough, or it was on eBay. I forget where it was now. But he said he did pay a little bit more than we saw it for, which I was really gutted at, but I really liked it. And I have built it up, and here it is over here. So as you can see, it's all built up. You've got the wooden railway, you've got some waste bins, you've got the sand pit with some sand that I've kind of added in myself. That stuff is glued in there, but I am going to put some more in. Sorry for my handshake, guys. Try and steady that a bit. There we go. I am going to put a little bit more in just to add a little bit more depth. There's a seesaw there that has fallen over, but that kind of stands like that, and that's really cool. Climbing frame, you've got some log benches there, quite a lot of benches. Oh, she's fallen over. Another seesaw, some more benches. This does stand, but obviously it'll have to be glued in place. Then you've got swing and the climbing frame, and I do absolutely love this. I think it's going to look fantastic in that section. It's going to really make that playground pop. So yeah, so I'm going to make the area bigger because what I had wasn't big enough to fit this. So that's kind of what I'm on with now. And in with this, I've also picked up from Knock the Kinder set. Children playing. One thing I've found is you look around for kind of like OOHO figures, and there's so many different things you can get. I mean, from Knock, from Woodland Scenics, from Bachman, so many different things, so many fun little characters you can get. Very, very few children. there are very few children indeed. And there's these, and there is some others, but they're all kind of incorporated into sets. And these, I mean, these cost like £8-9 a piece. Some of them come with adults, and like 5 or 6 adults and 1 child. So in order to get a set of kids to play around in here, it's going to work out a little bit pricey. So if anyone has any suggestions on where I can get some, even if it's unpainted, where I paint them myself, I don't mind that. But yeah, just so I can put some, quite a few. I mean, I'd like it to be like that is, where there's quite a lot of kids there. But then again, it's a campsite, so maybe there's not as many people there at the time. But yeah, I would like to have a few more people in if possible. So if anyone has any suggestions, I would love to hear. I've looked all over on eBay, on Google, on different model railway shops. Just finding models of kids is just very difficult. So yeah, my plan for over here is that I'm just going to coat this with static grass. A nice, just the whole thing with a nice kind of a mixture of kind of probably short and medium strands all the way through, and then where the playground is going to go, just kind of put some sand in there as well, and hopefully then it'll give the impression of the grass growing through the sand. Kind of mix it all together, so it's not like a separate section of sand and a separate section of grass like it was. Make it look like it was a field. They've made a campsite there, and they've put some sand down to make a play park, but obviously it's a little bit old and the grass has started growing through it where the membranes broke. That's just kind of coming from experience as well, because we have a section in our back garden where we've got some wood chipped down. We put membrane underneath it where the boys could go and play on the trampoline and the play set. Obviously, as they're running around and kicking it all up, and then grass starts growing through. So that kind of where that came from, and I did think that would look a little bit more realistic, really. So that's what we're going for. But yeah, so anyway, we'll come back when I've done a little bit more, but that's where we're up to now. I did always say that I wouldn't be doing any kind of footage of me making stuff, but I made a start doing this and thought, you know, I'm going to give it a go and see how it turns out. So I quite enjoyed it actually, so I might do that more often. Anyway, so yeah, I've put some scatter on. What I've basically used is a mix of different Jarvis tones. That's kind of, I think, where I went wrong over here. That I just used one tone and then put sprinklings in of others, whereas over here I've kind of mixed them all together, and that's much better. I'm so happy with the look of that. So yeah, that's really good. I'm pleased with that. You'll also see this is something I did earlier. I've relaid the road, and I've made it a lot thinner than it was before, and kind of over here I've thinned it out quite a lot. And what I intend to do is where there's slight gaps like that, I'm going to put some grass, just like you would see in roads like this, where the gravel gets knocked to the side or gets trodden into the ground by the cars, and the mud starts to show through and bits of grass starts poking through, and that's kind of what I'm going to go for. But yeah, over here is where the caravans will go. So if I just quickly grab, if I can find it, it's in amongst all my grass here. There it is. So if I just pop that on there, and yeah, that's kind of what that will look like. And for reference, let's just grab a car that's nearby. Yeah, and that's where the car would park. So yeah, so that's kind of how that's looking. There's still a lot of stone kicking to the side. I just need to kind of get the vacuum out and give it a clean, but I thought I'll do that once I've put the green scatter on, and I can just get it all cleaned up.
So yeah, pretty pleased with that. Just in case anyone is wondering, this is what I used to clean up the scatter. It's an idea that was given by Everard Junction a lot of years ago, and many other people have kind of mentioned it, just using a USB cleaner. This is basically, it's a mainly would be used for little areas or laptops, computers, to clean the dust out from in between the keyboards. So that's basically what I use, and then it catches in a compartment in here. I've used it before. It works really, oh, you can see I've used it before, and it works really nicely. It sucks it all up, catches all the green, so all then you have to do is tip it back in, and you end up using very little little scatter, and you recycle a great deal of it. So as you can see, there's a lot of scatter down at the bottom there that's going to be hoovered, a lot of loose on the top there. So yeah, there's a lot there to be saved. Okay, and one final bit, and then I'm going to end this video and upload this. As you can see, I've done a lot of work on this side. I've used up some grey paint just to do the baseboards, because this is basically going to have ballast and roads and everything. So I wanted to put a base layer down so that you don't ever see any of the baseboard coming through the ballast in between the tracks, because this is where a platform's going to be, this is where the station's going to be. So I just, and obviously that's all going to be ballast. So I just didn't want, oh, it's still wet. I just didn't want any wood showing through, basically. So I used up the paint that I used over here on the pavements. I've done the road as well. What I've done is just given that a coat of black. That's dried nicely now, and I'm going to sand that down just to kind of dull it a little bit. Put some weathering on there as well, and I'll do the same with the pavements. But yeah, really pleased with that. It looks a lot better than the light grey did, that's for sure. The light grey was just a little bit too light, but like I said, that was just a base coat, and I never intended. And I kind of like how this has turned out, where you've got different patches of grey, and that's, I was hoping, and this is a completely different shade, and this is kind of the effect that I was hoping to get. After I painted the road, I had a lot of black left over in my palette, and I just put white in it, and I kept mixing it in. It started to overfill into other sections of the palette. So what I started to do was make each section of the palette a different shade of grey, and I just kept mixing between the two, dabbing a little bit here, then a little bit of the lighter, then a bit of the darker, just to make it patchy. And that's the effect that I was going for. And I mean, it's still kind of drying at the moment, so we'll see for sure later on. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. And once I've given it a bit of a sand, a bit of marking and stuff like that, I think that's going to look really good. So for a first go at making scenery, of making like roads and things like that, I'm really pleased with that. So yeah, very productive. And as I say, I had quite a lot left over, so I just kind of did the rest of this. It's all different shades. The back end was where I mixed some more, and it's a little bit darker, but you're never going to see it. It's just to hide the baseboard, so it's going to be fine. But it's good as well, because it hides all the marks and so on that I had from when I was using these boards to build my cosplay costumes. So there's a lot of blue and red on there from where I was painting them, and it cleans that away, and it makes it look a lot better. It makes it look like an actual railway now, so I'm really pleased with that. So yeah, a productive few days, and I'm just really glad to get the greenery on there, because that brown was really starting to bug me, and I was really starting to think it's a bit too dark. But I knew once I got some green on there, it would mute it down and make it look a lot better. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this update. Stay tuned, I will be bringing some more in the very near future. Until then, take care everyone, and I'll see you soon.